Why should I ask these other people? Okay, well, this is another big stupid thing that we sometimes do as testers, and I'm not saying that any of you are doing this, but we've certainly seen it done with a lot of our clients. It's forgetting that you're providing a service. You're a service provider. So I recently did an assessment, and in our assessments we talked to a lot of people inside and outside test team, trying to figure out how the testing is going and what can be improved. Most of the interviewees outside the test team said test group adds no value. Think about that. The test group adds no value. Basically, we don't want them here. We don't care if the test team continues to exist in this organization. Now, if that's not a scary thought in the middle of this recession, I don't know what is. Okay? Now, this was a few years ago, and the economy was better, but then this could happen now. This could be going on now and probably is going on now in a lot of organizations. Now, excuse me, test group adds no value. Well, testing by itself, the poking and prodding of the system, writing down of bug reports, tracking of test results, those acts by themselves have no intrinsic value, none. Testing only has value when it connects to something that the organization and other stakeholders value. There are people in the organization, perhaps people you haven't yet thought of, who are interested in quality and are interested in testing and are interested in having competence in the product and are interested in knowing about what's wrong with the product. These are things you can help them understand. These are services you can provide. Well, we need to identify the services we can provide and identify our consumers, our customers, the people for whom in the organization and perhaps even outside the organization we produce this information, and then work with them to make it better. So I just gave you an example on the previous slide. Who needs the information in your bug reports and how can you make it better? Okay, this is a great conversation to have, and it's an easy conversation to have. And you know what? Not only is there value in having this conversation in the sense that you will be able to do a better job and thus be more effective and efficient as a tester or a test manager, there's value in having this conversation, period. There's a political value. It sends all the right messages about you and your organization if you're a test manager, or you as a professional tester within your organization. You send a message to people that you care about the quality of your work. And it sends exactly the wrong message, particularly given our association with quality, that if we don't have this conversation. So I really would encourage you to do this. It's good on so many different levels if you just remember that you're providing a service and then continuously strive to find ways to provide that service better. Now, when you do that, that's going to lead you to the next possible stupid thing that I want you to try to avoid doing, and this is ignoring a key stakeholder. So, one time, long ago, when I was young and foolish, I didn't ask all the right people this question: how are we doing? How can we do better? I forgot to ask the tech support team. Now, I have an excuse. It's a bad excuse, but I'll let you in on it so that you don't fall for it yourself. My excuse was the tech support manager wasn't in the same office. She was in a different office. She was in a different city, different state. I would have had to, I don't know, pick up the phone, send her an email, do something horribly inconvenient like that to try to get in touch with her. Horribly inconvenient. It's out of sight, out of mind. Now, yes, this is a well-known human resources / management paradox that people, you take people who communicate daily and put them just on separate floors in the same building, and the amount of communication between them drops, by an order of magnitude right away. Yeah, it happens, but one of the things that we're supposed to do as managers, if you're a manager, is to manage those kinds of problems, and I blew it. Okay, big mistake, because she and her team were not happy with our test coverage, and they were not happy with the bugs we missed. And ultimately, the agitating that she and her team did about the dysfunctionality, if you will, of our testing led to, in confluence with some other unfortunate circumstances that were going on, led to the test team being disbanded. Now, I mean, I don't think that it was entirely the case that this one person's agitating was the only cause. These things never happen for a single reason, but it certainly was a contributor. That, along with the fact that the business was in trouble and they were looking for something to cut. But, you know, as the Japanese saying goes, the nail that sticks up gets pounded down. And I definitely transformed myself and my team into the nail that stuck up in that organization, drew the attention, unwanted attention of people by virtue of the obstreperous complaints of one of the key stakeholder teams. Now, I got another excuse, and it's not a good one, but I'll lay it on you. Most of the test groups we assess have and do ignore at least one key stakeholder. So I guess my excuse there is, well, I'm in good company. Yeah, everybody does it. Yeah, that's true, but, you know, why do it, right? Like I said, how inconvenient is it? You send an email, you know, pick up the phone. If you happen to be in the same building, go downstairs, get a little exercise going up and down the stairs, you know, it's not hard. So this really, there are all sorts of great excuses for why people ignore key stakeholders, but they just don't really hold any water. None of them are valid excuses. And remember, the job you save may very well be your own or your team's. Now, you want to identify the stakeholders. You want to keep in touch with them. You want to make them feel like, yeah, you know, the test team is looking out for me. They're trying to do the right things. But this needs to be more than just a touchy-feely, emotional, subjective exercise. This needs to be measurable. So I recently wrote a chapter for a book that will be coming out in the next 4 or 5 months called Beautiful Testing. And the chapter that I wrote was called Beautiful Testing Satisfies Stakeholders. And one of the things that I talked about at length in that chapter was working with stakeholders to identify key performance indicators, metrics basically, that will allow you to measure how well you're doing and to improve that. This makes the discussion about how am I doing an objective one. Now, certainly, you know, perceptions matter, but data can shape perceptions, and I would encourage you to go into this with data because, you know, things can happen that that would be very difficult for you to control, and you need to shape the terms of the debate about how you're doing rather than be shaped by it entirely. Okay, now here's another thing. It's a really easy mistake to make as a test manager. Deliver bad news badly. Now the reason why testers and test managers make this mistake is because we have to deliver bad news so often. We have so many opportunities to make this mistake. Now, here's an example. I'm working as a test manager. Project is in serious, serious trouble. There's an enormous bug backlog. And so I go to the project manager and I tell him this. I say, we are in a world of hurt. Things are going very badly. There's this enormous bug backlog, 1,000 bugs.